everyone, I'm Lily from Body Mind Care, and today we are talking about our third episode of the workshop on emotions. And this third episode is about becoming an observer. So before going into the third episode, I want you to go back with me a little bit in time so we can just talk about the episode 1 and 2 in case of you haven't seen it, for you to understand a bit better episode 3. Okay, so in the first episode we were talking about the brain waves, all the different brain waves that we had during our lives and during the day. And what happens is that as an adult, the main brain waves that we are using is the beta brain wave, which is the analytic side of the brain. So on the brain here, the left side, so we are basically always using just the left side. Okay, and so what happens is that during the day, when you have experiences that are coming from your environment, family, friends, situation and emotions, what happens is that they are all gonna go through your brain and also your body, and you will treat the information through your left side, the analytic side. And well, so obviously, as you can see, the other side we don't really use it too much, and it's where we have other type of brain waves that is more the theta, or the not the delta but the alpha and the theta brainwave, which is more open to the unconscious part and also the imagination. Okay, so on the second episode we talked about the quantum physics. So why we talked about that? Because what is good to understand is, and amazing also, is that the universe, the whole world, is made of 99.9% of energy, which means the whole universe is made only of particles of energy that are not solidified, that are not that they do not have any identity, and so they are just here in a potential, infinite potential world. And it's only when we start to observe a particle that it will become reality in our world. So, I mean, that is really important to understand, because from this energy, this infinite potential field, it's where we create the physical world. It's where our emotions are coming from. It's where the frequencies are from, our thoughts, everything. Okay, so everything at the base of in the quantum physics is based on energy. So that is a really big statement, and that should make you start thinking differently your life. And what you need to understand also is, so when we have experiences during, from our environment, we are gonna start treating the information with our thought. Okay, and always from the thought you're gonna have an emotions that will coming out from it. It's sort of a reaction from the situation. So if it's a good situation, you haven't seen someone for a long time, well, you're gonna be happy, and you like this person, you're gonna be very happy. Okay, so that's an emotion that will coming up from you. Say, oh yeah, it's awesome, I haven't seen you, how have you been, etc. But if you are in an environment and the experience coming through you is negative, you suddenly lost when you were kids in a supermarket, and so you're gonna have this fear, anxiety, that feeling of abandonment, emotions of what do I do, and so that is it's a first reaction, the reaction of fight or flight, basically. And from that, because we are complex human being, the emotion will be stored in our body and our mind when I give massage, sometimes I will feel in some places some emotions because it's sort of stored in those special places. And in traditional Chinese medicine, for example, each organ is linked to an emotion. So, for example, the liver, it's linked to anger, or the lungs are linked to sadness and grief, and so on. And what you need to get also is that from the emotions, when we are confronting another similar situation or experience, we are gonna remember this first emotion, okay? And so basically we are gonna start bringing some protective layers over these emotions, and we are maybe from the fear emotion that was at the beginning, we are gonna start adding the sadness or the fear or abandonment or etc., and that will become a feeling. So any situation that you will be confronted later on in your life, you will have an impact, a feeling that will impact your the way how you are going to react to this situation. So it's a sort of adaptogen. The feelings are adaptive to your life. Emotion, it's more like you straight into the situation, bang, it brings you an emotion. The feeling, it's more something that you learn to adapt yourself around this situation. Therefore, you don't you sort of protect yourself, or your body has the idea that it's protecting itself, but actually what it does, it's just bringing layers upon layers of suffering and negative emotion that just keep into the subconscious mind, because we are always using that. The subconscious mind is more on the right side, okay, in the imaginary, and all the other part that we are not using very much, so which is more into the alpha and theta brain waves, and that we do not access so easily in our life. We are accessing during our dreams, or before, just before we go to bed, when drift into sleep. We are going back onto this theta brainwave, but it's not a natural state. We lost it. We had it when we were young, up to 7, 8, 9 years old, and it started to ease away when we started to hit the 12, the teenage time. Okay, and it's when we hit the 12, around the 12 years old, that we really start to go back onto the beta. 90% of our day will be under beta brainwave, which is always going to be an analytic thinking and overthinking and re-overthinking, etc. So now that you've got the basic of what I want to talk about, we are going to now talk about becoming an observer. I'll see you on the other side. Hi again. Alright, so now we can talk about this third episode, becoming the observer. Alright, so the best for you to understand is, imagine that you are an actor, you are in a movie, okay? So when you are an actor, we ask you to incarnate a role, a person, a character. And so if it's a character that is annoying, so you're gonna incarnate this annoying person. Of this, if you must incarnate a child that is scared, you will incarnate that, all right? And so basically you're a bit like an actor, and that's what majority of the people are doing, and we tend to do, is that we are playing a role all our life. And so what happens, and so we are, as you can see, I'm really good at drawing. And so I am an actor, and I play a role, and all that is based on my previous experience and the situation, the environment, the previous emotion that I had, I will react onto this present situation in a certain way. Okay, so I do not have a possibility to step back. I'm just into the role. I'm inside, and I can see straight away all the issues that you know, people coming at me, my job and all that, and you know, I'm just into this role, and everything, every emotion, every sensation, it feels like a mountain. It feels huge. It feels like, I mean, I'm in the middle of that. I can't do anything about it, you know. And you, when you're an actor, you can't really have the strength of the ability of step back and try to find a solution for you. You can't find a solution because you are totally, all your focus is absorbed into the situation, the current situation. Or it can be even a situation that happened yesterday, and that was a horrible situation, and you're just gonna go back mentally with your mind into this situation and do it again and again and again, like an actor. So you are yourself put it back into another a situation that from the past, and you're just gonna act like all the possibility are worse than one after the other one. Okay, and I'm sure that rings a bell for you, like, you know, it happens to everyone. And so what is so good to understand that the key for happiness is to become an observer of your life. Okay, and for you to understand, the best is like, imagine that you are the director of your own movie. Your movie is your life. You are the director of your own life, which means the director in a movie, he knows already all the story. Okay, he knows this character, he knows this character, he knows this scene, this one, how actors are gonna react. But because you step back and you are this director, you are not touched emotionally like the actor. You have the possibility to see with a wider perspective the whole situation, every scene at one time at a time, even if you want to. So it's an image, of course, and it can't fit in everything, but it's I think it's a really good image, and it actually helped me when I was in my 20s. I went into a workshop where we had this person repeating every week for a few months, and I needed that. That I was this little girl, you know, this action little girl, and I was stuck into this emotion, I was stuck into this situation, and I couldn't get out. And then it's when I started to go back, oops, I can't go further, but yeah, when I started to go back to see the wider perspective, that I realized that actually the mountain, the situation that I thought was a huge mountain like the Himalayan, well, actually it was just a rock. And often in situation that, you know, when you are into a situation, a really hard situation, you think, oh my god, I will never go over that, it's so hard, it's too hard, it's too big. And actually with time you realize, you know, when you turn back and you make peace with the situation, if it was a hard situation, you look back and say, well, thank you, now I realize that this situation wasn't as big as I thought, and actually it helped me to be who I am today now. So I think it's the key for you to understand and finally find the happiness is becoming an observer of your own life. I'm not saying always, you know, it's we are coming you know, we incarnate in this body, and we have those situations, and it's good to have emotion, and it's good to have feelings. It's what makes us human beings. But it's when the emotion becomes too overwhelming that is coming the issue. And it's what I want to help you, just to be able, when the situation is becoming too hard, to be able to step back and have a wider range of the whole scene. And maybe instead of focusing on you as an actor, you'll be like horses, that they put, I can't remember the name, like things so they can't see on the side, so they're not scared. So basically, as an actor, is what you're doing. You are just here, and you can't see all the possibilities that are here. And remember, in episode 1 and 2, I'm talking about everything is energy, and everything is his potential, is infinite potential. This is why it's so it was important for you to remember. It's because when you start stepping back, going into observation, you start to see situation in a different angle, and you start to see the new situation, because your point of view is different. Your point of view is higher. Imagine someone, like, it's another image, another picture. Imagine you are lost into the forest, and it's getting dark, and you start hearing noises, and suddenly your mind gonna start to think, oh, maybe there is a giant monster, or maybe there is a ghost gonna come out, and maybe it's gonna try to eat me, or whatever, whatever our brain gonna do. And so what happens is, what is our reaction? Reaction is based on emotion. That is fear. Okay, so fight or flight. Okay, I'm gonna start running, and I run, and I run, and I run. And the chances that you fall and hurt yourself is huge, okay? Because it's getting dark, you don't know the place, you don't know the situation, and you are reacting with something that is scaring you. And so anything that is rational, it becomes irrational, and the only thing you think is just, I want to survive, I want to get out of this forest. And when you become the director of some, you take another perspective. Imagine yourself, well, a part of yourself that is on top of this mountain, and it has this binocular, and just watching you in this forest and running. And you silly, if you just thought differently, instead of reacting onto an emotion, and start running in actually the opposite direction that you should have taken, because now you're going straight into the into the big river, and you might fall into the river. If you become the observer, you're gonna see that there are other solutions. So in this example, when you are an actor, to become an observer, what you need to do, well, what works for me, and I try to apply all, as much as I can. I'm not perfect, and I'm learning as everyone, but when I want a solution, I will just stop all my mind that is like a little bicycle. Anyway, you understand me. That is always thinking and overthinking, the beta wave, brain wave. And I'm just gonna take a deep breath in and out, just to calm this mind that is always overthinking. And I will think, all right, there is a solution, all right. Now I'm getting calmer. Okay, maybe I could climb a tree. Yes. I look around, oh, this tree has big, heavy branches. Okay, it's not dark yet. It's dangerous, but at the same time, it's probably the best way for me to get out of this situation. So I will climb. And so I climb this tree. And I will be high enough to realize that there is a house about 200 meters away, because I will see the smoke coming out. And so now I know which direction I need to go. So that is the key of observing, and why it's very important for you to understand and start applying. We have so many tools, as I said already before, that can help us becoming this observer more and more in our lives. From my perspective, meditation is probably really good, because it really forced me to calm down my mind by stop moving, being still, by focusing just on my breathing, for example, and then any thought coming in my mind, I just embrace it and say yes, but it's just not the time. And more and more and more I'm doing this exercise, more between thoughts there is a gap of stillness. It's really hard when we start, because we are in a world with billions of stimuli for us. So that was that third episode. If you liked it, if you have any question, please leave a comment, or you can also subscribe to my channel. Go back to episode 1 and 2, and if you liked it, put a like on, that would be amazing. And yes, subscribe, that will be really helpful for me to be noticed in this big web of YouTube. Of course, if you think that helps you. So I wish you a beautiful day, and I will see you very soon, I'm sure. Bye.